Welcome to the Protagonist Pub. My name is Tammy, and this is where characters gather. Welcome to the day before Valentine's. We are doing nothing, much like always, which is fine. I don't need roses and a big old fancy dinner to know that Dave loves me, and neither does he. So we're good with that. Besides, if you need a day of the year to tell your spouse that you love them or your boyfriend, your relationship has other issues. So enough about that. If you're new here, thank you and welcome. I hope you find something you want to read or a book you've never heard of and intrigues you. And I look forward to comments. Okay, so what did I read last week? Last week was not a good reading week. There is a common thread through those books. So, first up would be Becoming Hook by Mary Mecham. I ended up DNFing this. The adventure part of the book was fantastic and enjoyable, and had it just been that, I would have finished the book, no problem. However, the romance between Tinkerbell and Hook was just beyond cringe for me, and relates to the other books I'm going to talk about here now. So I then picked up, I next picked up Aiming for Love by Mary Conneally. As you know, this was on my 2024 roadmap for a romance set in a non-usual setting for me. I don't normally read Western romance, and I own all 3 books in this series. The series is The Brides of Hope Mountain. I DNF'd this book halfway through. So well past my 50-page limit. So this book is just over 300 pages. It is 301. And it isn't large print, or isn't small print. It has very large margins. So it was forcing a story into 300 plus pages by the publisher. And the premise of the story is there are these 3 sisters whose parents died and were raised by their grandparents on Hope Mountain. And the male hero comes up Hope Mountain because he bought a plot of land and he's going to build a house and pasture his cattle. Okay, that premise is fine. Except you quickly learn in the book that the 3 sisters whose grandparents have now died, or they died many years ago, have never, since they were taken up the mountain as children, young children, by their grandparents, have never seen another human being other than their grandparents. Okay, I have issues with that entire premise. But the middle daughter is the protagonist for the first book, and she is curious about the humans down the mountain, and she spies our male hero, and she's in love with him. I'm sorry, what? What do you mean you're in love with him? You have never seen a grown adult man other than your grandfather in your entire life, but you're gonna fall in love with this man that is that would have been enough to DNF the book for me. It's just completely unrealistic and has zero chance of success. However, in this book, her older sister is so riddled, there's no other word, riddled with fear, that when her middle sister comes to tell her and that they need to offer help because someone has been shot, her older sister slaps her across the face hard enough to leave a bruise. And it is clear from the content in the book, this isn't the first time there's been physical abuse in this family. It was a very dark read for 150 pages. And I could not bring myself to read the last 150 pages. And now I have 2 books in this series sitting on my shelf that I am probably going to DNF before I ever pick them up, which is disturbing. One was a birthday book, the first one in the series, and I got one off Book Outlet, and I paid full price for the third one. So, yeah, not happy. But it does reinforce my new rule that if it's a new author to me or genre, subgenre I'm not comfortable with, I'm only buying the first book in the series before I buy any more by that author or in that genre, because this is just a very hard miss for me and I cannot recommend it. And I do not know. Oh, yeah, it was bad. Okay, so the last DNF of the week was Rose by Morgan Dawson. And according to my Kindle, I DNF this one 3% in. It is a 142-page book. So, yeah. Let's talk about why that one got DNF'd. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. And the book opens up with our heroine being sold as a slave by her uncle because he's resentful that he's had to raise her after her sister died, or his sister died. And our hero purchases her and offers to take her to Oregon with them. But she is free to go and make her own choice. Problem with this book? There is zero character development. Zero. I mean, literally, the book opens up and she is being sold. You know nothing about her. You know nothing about the backstory. Just, you are shown everything. You are not told anything. And that trend continues for every sentence I read. There are big time jumps between what happens in chapters. So this chapter ends and the next chapter begins, and it's an unspecified time later. Okay, great. So you're going to tell me even more of what happened and show me nothing. I have zero patience for the tell and don't show me plot lines, because no. If something happened, I need to know it. And I need to know backstories and character development and just... And this was going to be another trauma love story, and you're the only adult man I've seen, and I'm gonna fall in love with you because, you know, that's what I do. I do not understand. I am clearly not the target audience for these books, and that's fine. But there is a very big problem in literature. Not just literature. Just there's a very big problem in fiction. And I'm probably going to make a rant video later this week because it is really irritating me. But I did read this week. So this week I did finish. Where is it? So I did finish this week the first book on the Dave selection list, and that was The Innkeeper of Ivy Cottage by Julie Klassen. This is the first book in the Tales from Ivy Hill series, and this is Christian historical fiction, and I love this book. I read it in one day, and yeah, so this is my second Julie Klassen book. My first one was Castaway in Cornwall. This is a much faster pace-driven book than Castaway, and our protagonist, her name is Jane. Before the book opens up, and this is not spoilers, her husband dies and he leaves her the family inn. And while he was alive, he kept her from all duties within the inn. He didn't want her to be a working woman because she came from a genteel background. And she let that continue after he died. And some things happen, and she's suddenly forced to make a choice between saving the family inn and selling it. And this is a book in which our female protagonist starts off as one of those spineless, weak, I let things happen to me protagonists that, as you all know, if you've been here long enough, drive me batty, and I have zero patience with. However, this is a story in which Jane remembers, not even remembers so much, as Jane discovers her spine and her voice and stops being the ball batted between people in her life. She has an overbearing mother-in-law and a shady brother-in-law, and she's got to work out all those relationships and what's going on in the family, in addition to saving the inn and everything that goes with that. There's a mystery involved. There's faith that's woven throughout the book. It's gentle faith. It's not preachy faith. And this turns into a beautifully written story of the redeeming power of forgiveness and understanding, and realizing that if you let people run over you, they have no reason to stop, and you are just going to be a ball that's batted between everybody else, and only you have the power to change that. And that would be 100% why this book worked for me, because she quickly goes from being a doormat to, okay, I have decisions to make and I need to start making decisions. And what are those decisions going to be? And yeah, so I can highly recommend this one. I'm very much looking forward to books 2 and 3, which are also on Dave's 24 and 24. So I've checked one book off of that. I'm happy about that. I did not bring it upstairs, but I have read more in The Count of Monte Cristo, and it is a great story, and it reads like a modern book, but it does get slogged down in the details. And had it been written today, a lot of the details would have been edited out or cut in half. So I'm currently slogging through details, but we've escaped prison and we're in Italy and we're, beginning to extract revenge. So I'm 300 pages in, which, sounds impressive until you realize I have like 760 to go. Yeah. Fun times. I did also read more of Beren and Luthien this weekend. This is Tolkien's epic love letter to his wife. And while this can be a dense reading, it is also incredibly fascinating. I am going to save the major discussion until I do my book review for it at the end of the month. I'm probably going to finish this one tomorrow. Will probably take me most of the day tomorrow, just because it is not, despite its short little length, it is not a quick read. I am fine with that though, because I am truly enjoying this one. And yeah, this is great. And I was going to start this weekend The All-American by Susie Finkbeiner. Haven't quite opened it up yet. I was a little lazy this weekend, which was fine. I needed a weekend off. Oh, the chapters are nice and short. Oh, maybe I'll pick this up today. Start this today. Spring training has started. People are reporting for duty for spring training. So it's a perfect read for me. And I'm good about that. So, okay. And if I finish those two this week, which is hopeful, I will probably start The Lady of Galway Manor by Jennifer Dybel. So, we shall see. Okay. Oh, so, next up, Library Hall. And I was going to read this tomorrow because it is appropriate, but if I read Beren and Luthien, maybe I'll start it tomorrow. That is Fat Tuesday Fricassee by J.J. Cook. This is, I believe this is the second in the series, and unfortunately it's the only one my library has. And I don't like reading out of order, but Nope, it's the third in the series. Oh, it's really unfortunate, but that's okay. This is a Biscuit Bowl food truck mystery series. It's obviously set at Fat Tuesday, which is tomorrow. And yeah, so I will read you the back. 2 weeks of carnival celebrations have got Zoe running ragged. By day, she charms hungry tourists with authentic Southern cuisine. At night, she accompanies her father to one masquerade ball after another, hobnobbing with high rollers of the secret cabal known as the Mystics of Time. But the fun turns frightening when Zoe stumbles across deaths. dead body. Journalist Jordan Phillips attended the Mystic's latest bash in a traditional death costume and received a fatal bullet wound for the privilege. With more than 300 masked suspects determined to remain anonymous, and the police covering up the facts behind the murder of the investigative reporter, Zoe realized the Mystics have some serious secrets to hide. It sounds fascinating. It is thematically appropriate for Tuesday of this week. And yeah, Tammy needs to pick this up. So also at the library, I picked up Death at the Manor by Catherine Schellerman. This is book number 3 in the Lily Adler mystery series. And these are, let me double check. Pretty sure it's Regency England. There's no date, but from the descriptions, it's Regency England. I love these. They're fun, easy cozies that you can lose yourself in, and yeah, who doesn't love that? So I also picked up the next book in the Mayfield family series by Josie S. Kilpack. That is Daisies and Devotion, and I loved the first one, as you know, so I will read you the back of this one. Timothy Mayfield is ready to marry for love, but since his personal finances are thinner than he'd like, he knows he'll also need to find a wife with wealth. After receiving an unexpected inheritance, Timothy's circumstances change, and he is free to pursue his perfect woman. One with blonde hair, blue eyes, and a light laugh, arched eyebrows, elegant fingers, and a dazzling smile, among nearly 20 other characteristics. His best friend and confidant, Marianne Morganton, is gently exasperated by his youthful optimism and innocence. Though having been friends for years, she knows she doesn't have much of anything on Timothy's list, except for wealth. An heiress in her own right, she is tired of men pursuing her only for her money. But at nearly 22 years old, and not particularly stunning beauty, she can't be as picky as her friend Timothy is. The two friends end up playing matchmaker for each other. Timothy will find a decent gentleman for Marianne, and Marianne will prove to Timothy that his perfect woman doesn't exist. Until Miss Shaw comes to London. Now, with Timothy's heart captivated by the blonde, blue-eyed beauty, Marianne must decide if she should risk her heart and reveal her true feelings for her friend, or if she should settle for someone else. It's an up and down game of he loves me not, with both hearts and friendship on the line. I really loved the first book, so I'm very much looking forward to this one. And, yeah. You know, I was being lazy this weekend if I didn't pick this up and consume it in one day. Yeah, it's just over 400 pages. It's an afternoon. I am so looking forward to this. And I am very excited to tell you that there is a table of contents in this book. And not only that, chapters have titles. They're not just numbers, they have titles. Yeah. I'm a very happy reader this weekend. I have more than enough to read on my plate, even not counting Dave's challenge. And yeah, it's a good week. Did you guys read anything interesting last week? Leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you here next week at the Protagonist Pub.